Good morning. On behalf of the team from eServices Payment Technology, I'd like to welcome you here today to Lessons in EMS Leadership. My name is Gary Harvat, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. And joining me is Walt Stoy. Walt has had a long and storied career in EMS. He is now retired, but his list of accolades and accomplishments are long, well beyond the time that we have allotted for this interview. But I will just say this, for those of you in EMS, working in EMS, believe it or not, Walt Stoy in some way has probably touched the curriculum that you're using and the lessons that you've learned in the field. So we're honored and humbled today to have Walt here. Walt, thanks for joining us.
Gary, thanks for the invitation.
Oh, no problem. We're glad to have you. So as we talk about leadership, give me your lessons. What are your life lessons that you've learned that you can impose upon us today, Walt?
Well, there's so many, but I think you just want one or so.
Just a couple, please.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
So I guess the most important lesson I've learned is the idea of that domestically and internationally, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I think that some people go into different situations thinking that my job here is just to simply, give you all my knowledge. And perhaps even more recently, I've really discovered the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in the fruit salad. So that same situation applies to working with organizations and individuals. You may go in with a lot of knowledge, but you need to find out first what it is they need to have and reflect back on your wisdom.
So I know that you've spent obviously many years of your professional life here, but I also know that you've done a lot of work internationally. What differences are there, Walt? Do you see anything obviously everybody's wanting to do the best for their patient, but do you see any significant differences between what we do here domestically versus international? I know you spent time in Qatar teaching, and just share some of your stories if you have any.
So that's a great question. Yeah, domestically, as you can imagine, everything in the United States is different. As the saying goes, if you've seen one EMS system, you've seen one EMS system. And as you go across the country, there's different models. There's different ways that various individuals and organizations opt to do it. Internationally, perhaps even more so in some regards. So you brought up Qatar, and I spent a lot of time there. And that they are a very caring group of individuals. They are patient-centered unbelievably. And that what they strive to do and what we were there to do was help enhance their emergency medicine efforts in the ED, at Women's Hospital, within EMS, and that they all were just hungry for the information. But again, the important thing was what I talked about to start. They didn't care how much we knew until they knew how much we cared. And the other important thing that's worthy of bringing back here, and some people do it better than others, is it is all relationship oriented. And that you have to realize if they don't think you're clicking with them at a personal level, you're not going to be able to work with them, or you're not going to work with them long. So it's important to understand that it's all about the relationship.
It sure is. I've always been curious about that, so thanks for answering that. So, Walt, I knew you grew up in a rural county in southwestern Pennsylvania. You migrated up here to Allegheny County in more of an urban setting, and also spent some time, which sometimes people don't know, they view you more as an educator, in the city of Pittsburgh. But of course, you're most well known for your time in education, especially at the center and the university. So what drives you? What makes you motivated to get out of bed and basically, in many respects, convey the same message each day?
That's a wonderful question. So you brought up, I am from rural southwest Pennsylvania. Grew up in Carmichael's, a small town with 600 people, one stoplight. And like many who ended up in EMS from the 70s, there was a show called Emergency. And thanks to Roy and Johnny, here I am. And that I came to Pittsburgh. I spent 2 years at Cal U, taking time and space, my time, their space, and that realizing that I wanted to really be in EMS. Came to Pittsburgh in '76, and then into Pittsburgh EMS. And then Ron Stewart, who founded the Center for Emergency Medicine in 1977, took me under his wing. And that's where things really emerged with what I was able to do educationally. Now, granted, I lied about my age, and when I was 15, I became a water safety instructor. By the time I was 18, I was managing the pool. And Betty Walker taught me, probably the first to teach me about leadership and education. And that intuitively, I think I knew how to do things educationally. But once I found EMS, which was truly my passion, and education, which I would have never dreamed to be an area I would be in, those two things became the most important two components of how I've done my entire career, is EMS and EM, emergency medicine overall, and education. And that going to school to get the credentials to validate that, and then seeking to do everything I could to make a difference nationally and internationally with it.
And you still are. You still are making a difference, even today as you're an old retired guy like the rest of us.
Well, I retired from the University of Pittsburgh in UPMC, but the day I retired, the next day I was self-employed.
It's a great segue, isn't it?
It is.
So good for you. So along those lines, we've got lots of young leaders out there. Sometimes leaders are elected by popularity vote in some organizations, and some are well thought out, national searches, etc. A young leader coming into an organization, what kind of advice would you give them? It's a tough world we live in right now.
I know. So I got taught, as I started at the center in '81, the most important thing for me to have was my Rolodex. Now, a lot of people, these young leaders you're talking about,
Yes.
They won't know what a Rolodex is.
No.
It's in their phone. But
It's like we were talking this morning about Sanka. Nobody knew what Sanka
nobody
was,
knew what
right?
Sanka was,
So,
but that's okay.
Yep.
Young folks don't know a lot of things. It's our history.
It's our history.
But the Rolodex, or a card index system, was that I was taught, that as I met people, I would either gather their card or get their information and write it down. And the most important thing is about building your network. And the way you get to achieve everything you're going to achieve is not by yourself. It's with the people you surround yourself with. And at your Rolodex, the running joke is, back then, was if there was a fire and you could only grab one thing out of your office, what would you grab? Your Rolodex. Because those are the people who are going to help more quickly build your situation back up to what you need it to be. If you don't have the contacts, the phone numbers, the addresses, then you're really going to be in a lurch. And unfortunately, I think it's lots to do with social media in some regards, that people don't network the way we did in the past. And you know me, and others who know me know I'm a hopeless romantic. And I always long for ways that even precede my time as far as how we accomplish what we need to accomplish. Small gatherings, individually, not texting someone, but making that device work as an actual phone and calling and talking to them, or more importantly, meeting with them. And just sitting down and enjoying the company and sharing the information, putting new ideas out there, brainstorming and creating new adventures for us.
Sure. That's a good answer, and I'd just like to go back and revisit a statement you made, a gentleman you mentioned a moment ago, Ron Stewart, probably one of the best EMS docs to touch the planet, and I think nobody would argue that point, but also a very, very kind man who sadly passed last year. My memories of Dr. Stewart, I didn't know him well, but my memories of Dr. Stewart was he was so into educating and making sure people do the best for their patient. One of my favorite stories was when I came down to the center, and it wasn't where it is now, I can't remember where it was, but you took me into his office, and literally on the floor, well, you couldn't see the floor,
Right.
but all over the floor were the slides from the carousels that we used to use, and they were literally ankle deep. And he had no filing system. It just ended up on the floor somehow, and he happened to know where everything was. But it just actually reaffirmed how much this gentleman cared, because every one of those slides that was on the floor, good or bad or otherwise, was dedicated to making people perform better for their patients. And that's my takeaway from Dr. Stewart. And I'm sure you have many, many.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite stories of Dr. Stewart?
Well, none that I can tell this group. So, but you are correct. He was what I called an intuitive educator. And, if you look up the derivation of physician is teacher. And he was just a natural at it. So to watch him be a student with the group and learning how to be a student as well, but more importantly, how to teach the way he taught, was essential for my growth and development. I went to classes to learn all the theory and everything behind it, but without question, Ron just naturally knew how to teach and engage people, to network. I mean, my success is on the coattails of Ron Stewart, no question.
Yeah, just a great, great man, and we're all a lesser industry without him, trust me.
Correct.
He's a heck of a great guy. So you get out of bed each morning, and you're pretty close to my age and maybe a year older or so, but you think about this industry every day, right?
Yes,
I do.
Yes.
So what makes you nervous?
What makes me nervous is the idea that, in the 70s and 80s, I knew that when we called the emergency number that people would come. I first and foremost worry today when you call, is somebody going to be able to come?
Sure.
Is there a service covering the area? And the personnel. And that we need to have society address the financial matters. We need to address the matters of personnel and have people desire to be in the profession. And that I would hope that, 25, 30 years down the road, I'm very optimistic here, let's call it 30, 30 years down the road when I maybe call my first ambulance ride, that one, they'll show up, it'll be very sophisticated with technology, and it'll be a highly educated group of individuals. But, again, thinking about what things would be like in 30 years, maybe they won't have to be as high tech, that they'll wear a headset. The technology will be talking to them the whole time. They'll have my whole medical history. The hospital will already know what's going on. They'll be given directives through what we call protocols now in a different manner. And that the devices will be able to do so much more for the patients. It's happening today. It'll be more so in 30 years, I'm positive.
Well, hopefully that'll work to our advantage.
It will. So we'll both be over 100 is the goal. And that people will go like, Gary who? But that's okay.
They're doing that now, Walt.
Well, they're
but
doing
anyway.
it to me as well. So.
So, hypothetical.
Yes.
One last question. Hypothetical. I'm walking into the room and somebody says, Dr. Stoy's here, who I've never met before. And I come over to you and I say, Dr. Stoy, nice to meet you. What's one nugget of wisdom you can leave me with that'll make me think about for the rest of my career?
When you walk into the room, if you think you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Very good.
Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. You'll benefit greatly from it.
Great advice. Walt, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for
Appreciate you
having
being
me.
here. Have a great day.
You too.